Ho, ho, ho. A merry Yokmas to you, Shapiro Piro.
Merry Yokmas, Mr. Jake Shapiro.
It is, of course, the 9th anniversary of when Nikola Jokic became the center and never looked back, the starting center for your Denver Nuggets, better known in Nuggets Nation as Yokmas. And tonight, for Yokmas, we're looking under the tree and we see a little gift. It's finally a good game. We get to see the Denver Nuggets square off against the Houston Rockets in a battle of what many believe in the NBA is between the second and third best teams in the league. It's streaming on Peacock. It's a national television game, and I have been looking forward to this game for quite some time. The first time we saw these two teams square off a couple Fridays ago was an absolute banger of a game. That was, of course, the game Aaron Gordon got hurt in. Nikola turned up, made Alpi Sengun look horrible, and that says a lot because Alpi's having a good year. But man, I'm revved up for this one, AP.
Finally got some meat on the bone, my friend. I mean, I don't know how many more times I could stand to see this team play the Sacramento Kings, who are in absolute state of disarray. And I mean, they played what, 2 games last week? Monday, Thursday?
The Nuggets played Monday, Thursday.
And that's it. So, like I said, we got some meat on the bone here and finally getting to some good matchups.
Well, the Houston Rockets, forget 2 games last week. They played Saturday, December 6th. They played Thursday against the Clippers. And then they're playing tonight. They've barely played.
Yep.
Both of these teams are well rested. Perhaps in the Rockets' case, too rested going into this game. The Rockets, this is the first of a 6 game road trip.
Ooh.
That includes another matchup with the Nuggets on Saturday in Denver.
Who makes these schedules? Like, why?
Well, the Nuggets were always supposed to play the Rockets on Saturday in Denver, but this is the game that came because of the NBA Cup didn't happen.
Oh,
so that's why it's a little bit weirder than normal.
Yay, NBA Cup.
NBA Cup. Aren't you
Go
pumped
Knicks.
up?
Go Knicks.
Knicks
Spurs. That's actually gonna be a good game.
Yeah, exactly.
Who you got?
I think Jalen Brunson's ready to win something.
I think the Knicks want that Millie.
Yeah.
You know?
Victor Wembanyama very, very openly does not care about money, as we saw from an interview this week.
This is true.
So I think the Knicks are going for it. I think the Knicks are going to win the NBA Cup.
The Knicks. Let's go.
But the Spurs are a problem, and we've talked about that a lot on this podcast.
They're scary.
So tonight, the Denver Nuggets and Houston Rockets. What we're missing from this game is Fred VanVleet is out for the year, so that is what it is. That is one of the most significant injuries in the NBA because VanVleet is their lone trusted ball handler. Reed Shepherd has stepped up and been one of the best sixth men so far for the entire league, and he's playing a lot of that guard role for the Rockets. They're starting without a point guard, kind of. Amen Thompson is a point guard, considers himself a point guard. Really, he's probably more of a wing, but nonetheless, they are missing Fred VanVleet. Tari Eason is questionable for this game. Tari Eason's an incredible defender. I actually, if you recall, and longtime podcast listeners will know, I actually wanted Tari Eason to be drafted by the Nuggets instead of Christian Brown. I'm a big Tari Eason fan. Have been since he was at LSU. Really brooding forward, a lot of defense. They might miss him tonight. Dorian Finney-Smith has been out and missed every game for the Rockets so far. I'm very curious to see if he comes back, when he comes back, what that looks like, because he had such an impact on the Lakers last year from their defensive side of things. Tonight for the Nuggets, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, and Julian Strawther, who's questionable but hasn't played in a while, all likely to miss. I don't even know if Julian Strawther, if he was healthy, would he play in this game, because the Nuggets are probably going to size up. In the first game, we saw Jonas Valanciunas and Nikola Jokic play together. That was their only time this season so far that they've had extended minutes together. Didn't go so well. Don't know if we'll see it again. But all that being said, these two teams are at least pretty healthy compared to where they've been over the last week or two. This has been the teams we've seen now for most of December. Obviously, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, huge injuries, as is Fred VanVleet. But this is basically what the Houston Rockets team is going to look like in the finals. I mean, in the playoffs. And this is basically the Nuggets team that we're going to continue to see over the next 4 weeks until those two guys come back healthy. As David Adelman said, those two guys probably not coming back till after the holidays. So what we're going to learn tonight, how the Nuggets deal with size and talent in one little stretch, because the Nuggets have had really only to deal with size or talent. They haven't had many teams that have had both of those issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very intriguing matchup for everything that you just said, Jake. And I think, you mentioned Jonas Valanciunas, you mentioned Nikola Jokic. We know what Joker's going to do, but I think this is a big game for Peyton Watson as well, just because of the length that he brings. I believe he says Kevin Durant was like his favorite player growing up when he was a kid as well.
Yeah, so, him and Durant are very close.
Yeah, so that's going to be an intriguing matchup for sure for this Denver Nuggets team. And you mentioned it, no Aaron Gordon. He did play in that last game against Houston, but that was the matchup in which he got hurt in, and no Christian Brown as well. So I think Denver will be tested. And I think they're going to be a live team in this game. I mean, I expect Denver to be competitive and, come out with a win in just about every single game they play. But you mentioned, the lack of in-game reps for the Nuggets the last 3 days going as well for the Houston Rockets. Might be a little rusty out of the gate. Would not be surprised with that.
So another note on Tari Eason, just while I'm here, he does lead the league in three-point shooting right now at 51%.
Wow.
But he's only played 11 games this year. Yeah, he's only played 11 games. He is taking 4.8 a game. So that's quite a bit when he is playing. They have one of the worst three-point shooters in the league on their team, too. And Ben Thompson is shooting 191, 19%, which isn't that surprising because he's not known as a shooter. Still scoring almost 18 points a game from that guard spot, the young guard, one of the best young players in the league. And then what I said about Alpi Sengun earlier, he's scoring 23 points per game. You heard on our last podcast, I've got him in the All-Star game. If you go to his worst games of the year, he scored more than 15 points in every single game this year, except against the Nuggets in that one game. And it was by far his worst game of the year. He only had 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 14 points. I mean, AP, he's averaging, 9 rebounds a game and 7 assists. He's like totally JV Jokic. Like, he is really playing a lot like JV Jokic. And against the Nuggets last time, he was completely swallowed. So I'm curious to see if the Nuggets with Jonas and Joker can completely swallow Alpi Sengun, because I think if they cut Amen Thompson's fantastic. Kevin Durant's an all-time player. To me, Alpi Sengun is the head of the snake for this team. This team only goes as far as Alpi Sengun. Kind of like the Nuggets with Jamal Murray. We know what Nikola Jokic is going to do. But if you stop Jamal, the Nuggets aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's fair to point out as well. Remind me again how Aaron Gordon got hurt late in that game.
Early. First quarter. He only played like 4 minutes.
I was going to say, because Kevin Durant was also held to 13 points in that game. And
one of his worst games of the year, too.
I think what's interesting to me, and this was before the Christian Brown injury, too, so he was out there for that matchup against Houston, is we've seen this Denver Nuggets.
No, he wasn't. He was hurt.
Was he hurt? I thought it was Brown.
I think he was hurt. Let me look.
No, you might be. Either way. As you looked that up, without Aaron Gordon, without Christian Brown, I mean, the path to victory for this Denver Nuggets team has not been a defense-first approach. It never really has been, even with those two guys out there. But we've seen Denver score, 130-plus points to win these games. Obviously, they can beat Houston if they, have an electric night from the field. Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Peyton Watson, as we're alluding to. But I am curious to see how Alpi Sengun and Kevin Durant try to attack this vulnerable Denver Nuggets defense.
Yeah, and it's a learning experience because, again, Christian didn't play in that first game, and neither did Aaron. So what adjustments really are there to make for David Adelman? I'm not really entirely sure, because there isn't, your two best defensive players out there on the floor. And, Durant's going to know that going in, that he's going to be matched up with Peyton Watson rather than, Aaron Gordon. And Peyton's a great defender. We've talked about it. Defends Kevin Durant maybe differently, but Kevin Durant got swallowed by AG, a couple of years ago in that playoff series against the Suns. AG does such a good job on these forwards, and that's not to say Peyton Watson can't, but maybe Kevin Durant goes into the game against Peyton Watson with a little bit more aggressiveness, knowing that he is going to be able to get his bucket. I'm not really sure how Durant would approach it, but he's still a fantastic player, scoring 25 points per game at 37 years old, shooting 40% from 3 and 50% from the field.
He's 37?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
He's a 50, 40, 90 guy, and he's 37, scoring 25 a game.
I'm old, bro.
Yeah.
37 years old for Kevin Durant already. That's wild.
So they've got him, and then they come in waves. We talk about this with the Nuggets. Durant, Sengun, we talk about him, Amen Thompson. Jabari Smith-Jr. is one of the top players from the recent draft. He's got size. He shoots the ball well. We talked about Reed Shepherd, another recent draft pick. He's scoring 13 a game. And then they've got a Holiday brother coming off the bench, a Kogi, who's given the Nuggets some problems before for multiple playoff series until the Nuggets solve him and figure him out. And then the guy I really like on this team, one of my favorite players in all the NBA, Steven Adams.
Yes, sir.
Who leads the league with 4.7 offensive rebounds per game. And he's doing that, Anilo, in just 22 minutes per game.
Yeah, Steven Adams has always been a steady Eddie player, going back to his time with the Thunder and his other stops as well. And I think that's why this is such an intriguing matchup, because you mentioned it, like no Fred VanVleet, like obviously that puts a damper in things for Houston throughout the course of the season. But they've been one of the best teams in the Western Conference, as you alluded to kind of start this season, right? I believe they match each other in the loss category. I believe Denver's played 2 more games than they have as well. So this is going to be a fascinating matchup for Denver. And I think once again, we sound like a broken record here, like knowing what you're going to get with Steven Adams on the offensive glass, Kevin Durant's a walking bucket who could put up 20, 25, 30 points in this game. Sengun, especially with no Gordon and Brown out there. It's going to come down to Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, I think, in that 2-man game. And who's going to be the accent? Like, can Cam Johnson hit a few threes to get this team going? Will it be Tim Hardaway Jr., who we've seen catch fire off the bench as well? And again, to bring it back to Peyton Watson, that's a guy that I think can help slow down Sengun along with Kevin Durant in this matchup. And he's been on fire for this Nuggets team too.
Yeah, Cam didn't have a good first time out against Houston. Only scored 9 points in that game. But if you look at Cam since that game, he's been really solid. And this is now a stretch of, I think, 9 games since. In the 9 games since they last played Houston, Cam is scoring 16 points per game. He's shooting 46% from 3.
Yep.
And again, a lot of these teams they're playing have been bad. The Nuggets are on a little streak here where they've been playing some good basketball, at least away from home. And I think this is more the Cam Johnson we should be seeing. So I would really like to see Cam Johnson score, 17 points per night, hit a couple threes, and get into the chili of Jabari Smith or Amen Thompson, whoever he ends up matched up with. I think it would prove really valuable to the Nuggets to have Cam Johnson step up as the third banana tonight. I think Peyton Watson can do it. Those are really the only 2 candidates that come to mind. Maybe, Tim Hardaway Jr. gets hot, but one of those 2 guys, whether it's Cam or Peyton, have to be that third best player tonight. And I think having these games in these moments for Cam, now that he's had some time to settle in, they've gone on the road, they've bonded, they've had a little time at home here recently to actually get some practice. I feel like Cam is more up to speed right now than he was the first time against Houston, which again was only 10 games ago. And, 3 weeks ago, but I really feel like things have really turned a corner for Cam. I think this could go a long way for the Nuggets and Cam in saying, you've shown you can do it against some of these scrub teams. Now you've proved it against a really strong caliber team. We've got the confidence. You're our guy. Once those 2 other guys come back, you're completely fine. So I think tonight could be a big night for Cam.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think we're still waiting for like a Cam Johnson game, right? I think the natural expectation is it'll always be Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray leading the way. But like we're still waiting for a signature performance in some big spots from a guy like Cam Johnson. I love the numbers you threw out, but maybe this is the opportunity where he, goes out there and shines on a national stage.
To your point, every time Cam Johnson scored more than 19 or more points this season, the Nuggets have lost 19, 20, and 28.
Wow, that's an interesting stat.
Yep. If he scores that much, the Nuggets are losers. So 3 of the 6 Nuggets losses have come when Cam Johnson's actually been a scoring punch. So I'm not even saying Cam needs to score. And he was efficient in all those games. It wasn't Cam's fault. Like those were good games from Cam. But I really just think Cam needs to sit between that 15 and 19 point range. Yeah. And that's what he needs to do. Even with those 2 guys out, it doesn't need to be that much. But this is a pivot point for Cam, a pivot point game. And again, for Peyton Watson, this is a game on national TV against his idol in a contract year. And he's been playing some good ball. This is, again, another big opportunity for Peyton Watson to just continue to put into everyone's heads that he's a free agent and he's going to be up for grabs. So I'm really looking forward to this one for the variety of reasons here. And I think while everyone now saw the Thunder actually lose a game on national TV and they're like, oh, they're unbeatable. The next national televised game, a couple days later, is Nuggets Rockets, and it might put into someone's head a talking head that's like, one of these teams could beat the Thunder. So we might hear some smoke after this game, whatever the result is. The Nuggets also play Thursday against Orlando. Then they're back here again for this home streak against Houston on Saturday. Are you worried at all starting this home stretch about the 4-game losing streak the Denver Nuggets are currently on at home?
I forgot about that.
It's been so many road games. It's,
yeah.
Kind of forgot about that. Put that on the back burner.
Well, I think Denver always has a good chance to win any given game, right? Would it surprise me if they lost this game tonight? No. Like, I don't want to, feed that fire necessarily, but like, if it extends to 5, like I think it all requires some context, right? Because you also look at the home losses. Like Dallas should not have lost that game. They're not a good team. San Antonio without Wemby probably shouldn't have lost that game as well. But the commonality between both of those is, they against San Antonio, they score 136 and lose. Against Dallas, they score 121 and lose. And these other teams are scoring 130 plus. So it's got to be a defense first, not even a defense first, but like an emphasis on defense.
It's the first time since the 1980s, I believe, a team has lost 4 straight home games while scoring 120 more points.
Yeah, I mean, that's abnormal.
Yeah. So it's not the offense. And David's been saying that all year. It's the offense going to be there. They need to play defense.
Yep.
And the Houston Rockets are going to force them to play defense because they're a defensive team. You look at the score of that first game, what, Danilo? I think it was
It was
112 to 109. It was
Yeah.
one of the lowest scoring Nuggets games of the year.
Jokic put up 34, though.
That's all he needs.
Yep.
So there you go. So you're not worried at all about the home thing?
I'm not saying it's not that I'm not worried about it. It's just I think like home away, Houston's a tough team to beat.
Right.
So like if they lose this game, I don't read into that the same way that I do San Antonio without Wemby and Dallas.
Whereas if they lose to Orlando,
then it's and Orlando's a respectable team as well, but Eastern Conference a bit different. Like yes, the expectation for the game against Orlando is Denver wins that game. I mean, I even looked at the odds for tonight's game against Houston. It's essentially a pick-em.
Yeah, it's
Denver minus 112. Yeah, so I mean that's telling you everything you need to know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think I'm going to be really concerned if the Nuggets lose this game at home unless they're up, 15 in the first half, like they've been in all these games recently. Then it keeps crawling back, and then in the fourth quarter it gets tight, and everyone's pants get a little tight, and then you're all of a sudden down 12, and Jokic is trying to battle back. That, to me, would be the concerning thing, is if it follows the exact same recipe as the other recent home losses, because you could see it on guys' faces, in my opinion, in the fourth quarter where they're like, oh, crap. It's happening again, and they couldn't stop it. It's like those videos you see of when someone gets stuck on the train tracks and they know the train's coming and they just have to bail out from their car and there's nothing else they can do. That's kind of what it's been at home for the Nuggets lately. So I'm not that concerned if they lose at home tonight. I think the road winning streak is far more telling than the home losing streak, but we'll see, where I'm at after this game. It is Jokic, though, and we've got Baby Joker here in, LP Sangoon. Any Jokic memories you want to share right here before the end of the pod?
Where do I even begin with that?
I mean, there's a lot of places you could go for Jokic.
I what's funny is I actually had a TikTok today. I was doing my doom scroll, and it was like, the caption was like, what was Jokic on against the Lakers in the 2023 playoffs?
Oh my God.
And it's like, you just watch the highlights. I mean, honestly, one of my favorite Jokic memories, and it involves you. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I ended up making an impromptu trip out to LA for game 4 of the Western. That was a conference final, right?
No. It was
conference final. And you were there, obviously working for Denver Sports at the time. And I remember just like sitting up in that press box with you, and like Jokic was just doing his thing, and the Nuggets were just killing the Lakers. And I know it's not like one specific moment, but like that in and of itself.
And you looked at each other.
Yeah.
When not the Davis shot at Denver, but he hit the exact same shot in LA in the second half. And I remember it vividly. Me and you were sitting right next to each other, and it was on the far side of the court from us, and he hits that soundboard shuffle 3. And at that point, AD wasn't even laughing. He was just distraught and beat. And me and you looked at each other like, holy heck, the Nuggets are actually going to go to the NBA Finals right now.
Yes, I remember that very well. We had a nice night after that, too. It
very
was
good night.
that's a story for another day on this pod.
In another pod.
Yeah, no, maybe. I think that comes to mind. I mean, there's just so many things. Like I'll say this as well, like, Christmas, what you're thankful for, all that kind of stuff. Like the dude is like a walking triple double. And I think we're so desensitized to that as Nuggets fans, because it's like every night he's within spitting distance or he gets the triple double, that it's like, I just am at the point with Nikola where I just kind of sit back and smile. Like, I'm just trying to enjoy this, because I remember when I first met you, like for the first time ever, it was when Jokic was in the league, but this was like the Emmanuel Mudiay, Jameer Nelson,
Gallinari.
Yeah, Gallinari. Who was the point guard? DJ Augustine.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like it was that era of Denver Nuggets basketball with like those rip-off UCLA uniforms they used to wear. And just how far we've come since then.
Yeah. One of the ones that always sticks to me. I mean, I can go through a couple. One of the first times out after COVID that I was able to go out and, really celebrate and not have to worry about it. And for all transparency, my wife and I got together because of the Nuggets bubble run in COVID. We were talking a lot during that. So, Jamal Murray holds a special place in both of our hearts. But I took one of my best friends, his name's Trevor. We went to a game in just a regular season game. The following year when it was like 3,000 people, we were sitting way up high in Ball Arena. We were sitting like 6 feet apart. and there was like no noise in the arena. It was so quiet, and Jokic was dealing, and it was against the Blazers, and that was his MVP year. And everyone knew, I think it was like, it was probably like December, January. By that point, it was like pretty clear that this guy was going to have a chance at MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And we were looking at each other like, holy crap, like one of our own here in Denver is going to win the MVP. This is pretty cool. Like, let alone, we were a little away from the championship. But during that, I think this was during the championship season, but my wife and I went to a game and we're sitting lower bowl. We got lower bowl seats for like $20. We got really lucky, and they're playing the Clippers, and national TV Thursday night on TNT, and the Nuggets are battling back, and Jokic is just on a heater. He's got like 50 points. This is one of the best games if you go back and look at the Jokic games. And this is the game he throws that corner pass to AG to win it in OT, and it was just, and we were sitting on the exact line of it on the opposite side of the basket, and we saw it happen.
Wow.
And it was awesome. And then the other one that I was sitting in very similar seats at the behind the basket, and I was with my friend Anthony, and game's going normal. The Nuggets are getting killed. Third quarter, we're kind of talking more than we're watching the game. Jokic starts playing at the start of the fourth quarter, and we're like, all right, here we go. They're down 21. It's the fourth quarter. There's no chance. Embiid's cooking. It's the last time Embiid played in Denver.
Yeah.
Jokic, 21-point comeback.
What year
the game
was that?
winner. That was 2019.
19?
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Like, I'm so not glad. Like, the Embiid hype is like not a thing anymore.
Dude, did you watch the game last night? You watched the Sixers game? No, you were working. You were from the Broncos. So I was covering the Broncos for us too. Well, while I was doing that, I was watching the Sixers game because I'm a sicko, as you know.
You are.
Sixers lost last night by a bucket. Embiid with 2 minutes left, wide open breakaway, fumbled the ball, turned into a jump ball.
Oh my God. He's falling off, dude. Oh my goodness.
Those injuries caught up with him.
Yes, they did.
But yeah, anyway, Merry Yokmas. We're lucky that his career's gone that way, and we don't have to worry about things like, other athletes that we've just referenced.
Facts.
And it's all positive. And, you've got your best Jokic memories. I'd be glad to hear them. Like I said, mine are personal. And then, this one, as we just talked about, we were just having our holiday party and we're figuring out our Christmas plans here in the office. Jokic Christmas Day against the Phoenix Suns. That's an all-timer. And Aaron Gordon's dunk, that's still the loudest to this day I've heard Ball Arena. And I think I've been in Ball Arena more than just about everyone in Denver, besides maybe 300 people in the city of Denver. So that's the loudest I've heard Ball Arena for a Nuggets game, was that dunk with AG. And that was just an awesome game. And getting the monkey off the back with the Suns, and Jamal coming back his first game against the Suns. That was such a great game. So really looking forward to tonight's game. Hopeful that is in the memory bank. On Thursday's show, we'll talk a little bit about the NBA trade season, because it started today. It opened today. The contracts basically unlocked in the NBA of guys that signed this offseason. So Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., for example, with the Nuggets, they're definitely not getting traded. But for example, with other teams, those guys would be able to be moved. So the Nuggets now, their GMs, Ben Tenzer and Jonathan Wallace, are on the phones. Thursday, we're going to look at some things they might be able to do, who they might target, what we're looking for, questions we might have. The Nuggets still have an open roster spot. I think it's pretty obvious where that one's going. So we'll talk to you on Thursday about that. But for now, he's Shapiro Piro. I'm Jake Shapiro, wishing you a Merry Yokmas.